When it comes to Gen 1 speedruns, there is one and only king. That is the Nidoking, the Pokemon that is used to completely crush the game because it has massive amounts of type coverage and it has good enough stats to get through the entire game. It's ranked 38th out of 151 Pokemon with overall fairly balanced stats, slightly more tilted towards attack, speed, and HP, but that's not all that this Pokemon has going for it. It's got the medium slow level up group, which means it gains levels faster than just about anything until you get very far into the game. Like, even fast Pokemon don't overtake medium slow level up Pokemon until basically the mid game. Outside of that, you're always going to be at a higher level in anything close to a minimum battles challenge than basically anything else with this level up group, and it leads to a situation where a Pokemon like Nidoking, in spite of the fact that in theory it has a lot of type weaknesses, given that it's weak against Bug and Psychic and Ground, Ice, Water, it still manages to be high enough level to normally be able to get through. But on top of that, it also gets a massive move pool. It learns everything from Surf to Ice Beam to Thunderbolt to Earthquake to Fire Blast to Rock Slide. Basically, name a good TM in Gen 1 outside of Psychic, and it's on this Pokemon's move pool. But today we're going to put the King to the ultimate test by trying to run it on Ultra Minimum Battles, a format that I started doing at the start of 2025 to see just how good the best of the best Pokemon are. Essentially, we're only going to fight the 8 gym leaders, 4 Elite Four members, and the champion. That is it. And we're going to see if this Pokemon has what it takes to complete the ultimate challenge. So will Nidoking's massive move pool actually be enough to complete the game on this hardcore setting? Or is it just a Pokemon that's only viable because of X items? Let's get into it and find out. So as we step outside of Pallet Town, Professor Oak's going to come and tell us about Gen 1 speedruns, and he's going to say, I have the perfect Pokemon for you. Little does he know that this is not a speedrun. We're going to be running on Ultra Minimum Battles instead. So we have it, our Ultra King, who normally starts the game with Tackle, Horn Attack, Poison Sting, and Thrash. I have a very strong suspicion that none of those moves are going to be on our moveset in just a short minute, and our rival can come and pick up his Pokemon. Of course, this rival 1 fight is scripted for us to lose, which is why he has the level 100 Gengar. There's literally no way that we will ever win this fight, since only Poison Sting could even theoretically hit here, and it's too weak to actually deal any damage, so we lose. But that's perfectly fine. That's what we wanted from that rival. But with that done, we are now ready to get into this challenge, and the first thing that we're going to do in this format, we are running a Max DVs Nidoking, and we're going to give it all of the vitamins to give it the best possible chance of actually being able to complete the game as a solo run. We will also have 12 rare candies in the bag in the event that we run into a wall. And after using 10 of every vitamin, Ultra King is coming in at level 5 with 26 HP, 17 attack, 16 defense, 17 speed, 16 special. And we can actually access via this statue that's actually a PC every single TM in the game except those that are rewards for beating gym leaders and a few overpowered TMs like Double Team, which are not going to be available. But here with Nidoking, there are tons and tons of moves available to us, and the first trainer that we need to take down is Brock, and I think the best way to do it is actually just to learn something super simple like Water Gun. Of course, we can also get Stab Earthquake right away, as well as things like Counter and Submission if we really want them. We're probably not going to go Submission strats here, but with a bunch of TMs already in tow, I think we can just make our way here to Brock. Now, this ROM hack has been set so that we're basically inside of Sabrina's gym, but each of the gym leaders is in their own little cell here. And the first move that I'm just going to add on is Water Gun. I think this move will be enough to actually get this fight to go, but let's just see if it actually works out. So Brock attempt number 1, let's just go Water Gun, and it does over half to the Geodude, so that's a simple 2-hit KO. We get to level 8 as the Onix comes out, and here we can just go Water Gun twice and once again get the incredibly easy victory. That's 5 minutes, 23 seconds to get through, but that's with me doing all the explanation here in real time. And we've only learned one TM, no randomness on Brock whatsoever. It's honestly, if they had just put Water Gun before Brock rather than in Mount Moon, so many Pokemon would be able to beat Brock very, very easily due to its 4x super effectiveness. But hey, that's perfectly fine. Now, the way that this ROM hack is set up, this gym guy right here, he will just heal us in between battle, just like a Pokemon Center, and this statue is our PC, so we can simply use that anytime that we want. But now it's time to progress in the game, and I actually think the next reasonable trainer to take on is Lieutenant Surge. I'm going to go ahead and learn Earthquake, which is our best same type move and is super effective here. We can just get rid of, I guess, Poison Sting. Like, are we really going to go for Poison strats at any point? I don't think so. So I'm going to forget this move and go ahead and take this one on. Now, the whole logic here is pretty simple. Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon outside of the Voltorb are basically mainly using electric type moves. In fact, the Raichu is only using electric type moves in Pokemon Red and Blue. So if we can get to Raichu, we actually have a guaranteed victory on this one. So really, we just have to dodge the Sonic Boom from the first Voltorb and hopefully get good enough ranges to KO here. We've just gotten a badge boost in attack from Brock, so I think this is going to work, but let's just see. So Brock, attempt number 1. We're coming in with Earthquake on the Voltorb, and this is going to be a 2-hit KO. He does Sonic Boom on us, but we still manage to get through. We get to level 12 off of that. Pikachu comes out and goes Quick Attack and does basically nothing and then gets one shot. We get to level 13 as the Raichu comes out, and Raichu cannot damage a Nidoking. It only knows Thunder Shock and Thunderbolt, so it's just an easy 2-hitter. And just like that, we get to level 15, and we have defeated Lieutenant Surge in 7 minutes, 23 seconds. Really not bad. We just added on one more TM. That was it. And that fight was trivial, honestly. Like, really nothing to worry about. And now we get access to Thunderbolt. We can use that in order to try to get through Misty in just a minute here. The question is just, is that the best routing for us? I mean, obviously we've got Erica right here. We've got Koga, who is using, poison type Pokemon, and we are a poison ground type, so 4 times resistant to poison type moves. This might actually not be a bad fight to take. I may be too underleveled, but I'm at least just going to try it one time just to kind of see what the ranges are. So Koga attempt number 1, he leads off with the Coughing. Let's go for Earthquake here. And this is going to be a 3-hit KO as he's going for the smoke screens on us. But we do manage to get through the first Pokemon at least. That brings out the Muck, which is going for Minimize. I think it's going to go Minimize and Disable here. In fact, it will use Poison Gas, but that's not really like a scary move to us at all. The whole issue here is just the fact that it was able to use Minimize a bunch of times. And we also have some accuracy drops. So we're going to lose this first attempt. But I actually think there is a strategy to get through that one. So I'm going to come back to the PC here, and I'm going to take out a TM that might be a little overkill, but honestly, I think it's a good play. I'm going to pick up Mimic, and I'm just going to forget Horn Attack in order to learn this move, because I actually think I have a strategy that will work in this situation with this move. Now, we probably want to get at least one more decent move here to use. Water Gun just isn't going to be strong enough. I think something like Body Slam makes a lot of sense, so let's just go ahead and slap this on as well. Over Water Gun, Thrash is at least strong. Water Gun isn't really doing anything for us at this point. It's just a move that I wanted for Brock. But now let's come back to this Koga fight and just see if we can manage to get this to go. So Koga attempt number 2, I'm going to just stick with the Earthquake on the Coughing here. It's funny that we're faster even though we're level 15. Now it does get one smoke screen on me, but I knock it out after that. We get to level 16, Muck comes out. So I'm going Mimic here, and let's go ahead and mimic the move Minimize. Now, Sludge isn't really scary, nor is, Disable or Minimize against us. We're just using this move in order to get badge boosts and to reduce the accuracy of our opponent's moves. Once we get all the Minimize set up, we will go into the Earthquake, knowing that we have gotten badge boosts in attack here. So as long as we can actually manage some hits, we will be able to knock out this muck eventually. The biggest thing is we need to stop critting. We do level up after that as we go to the next coughing, but fortunately this coughing can't really do anything to us. Like, it can basically tackle and that's it. It will never use moves like Smog or Sludge because we are poison type. And with that, we have made it to the final Wheezing, and I think this Pokemon wants to go self-destruct. And sure enough, it does, and it misses. And because we had mimicked the Minimize, that is actually a strategy to get through Koga there. So it takes 12 minutes 46 seconds, but Nidoking has actually completed 3 gyms. It took 2 resets there. One of them was just because I misclicked. I accidentally mimicked the move Disable, which obviously wouldn't work, but with Minimize, that's a pretty easy fight to get done. So now 3 gyms completed, and we are ready to move on in the game. And I'm not exactly sure what the best place to go next is. I'm worried about Misty. We're going to need to go something like Thunderbolt in order to get through her, and I'm not sure if we get through at this level, but we are at the same level as her right now. So I'm going to go in one time even without learning Thunderbolt just to see how this goes, but then we'll slap on Thunderbolt if we lose and see if we can manage the range. So Misty attempt number 1, I'm just going to go Earthquake on the Staryu, and it is a 1-hit KO. That brings out the Starmie. We actually outsped and go for Earthquake. It's because we have the badge boost and speed from Koga, and that means that after she X defense, we actually just win on the first attempt, getting to level 22. So 14 minutes 9 seconds, we managed to get through Misty on the first attempt. That is ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous, but it is due to the fact that we were able to beat the Koga fight relatively easily. Now I'm honestly not sure which is best, but maybe it makes sense to try our hand at Blaine even? Logic being that while he has smart AI in this version, he really likes to use, full health super potions and just like non-damaging moves like Roar in battle. So there's a chance that we could actually win. I don't know. I'm just going to test it out one time and see. So Blaine attempt number 1, we are 20 levels lower than his Growlithe, and it still is just a 2-hit KO because Growlithe only wants to use agility here. Oh, this is terrible. Now Ponyta is faster and it manages to land the Fire Spin, but after that we do massive damage. We do get stomped and get a flinch, but we knocked out the next turn. Okay, that brings out the Rapidash. Now Rapidash is stomped in massive damage here, but then it misses a Fire Spin, and that brings us to the final Arcanine. We probably are going down here. If we get hit by any damage dealing move, we're basically dead. It goes Roar turn 1, Roar turn 2, and finally take down turn 3. So we got really close to winning on the first attempt there. That was actually looking kind of possible. So let's try this one again. Once again, we'll Earthquake on the Growlithe. He goes for the Super Potion this time, so we just knock him out with no damage from the first Pokemon. Ponyta goes Growl. That's kind of bad for us. And then he Super Potions after that and stomps, but we do manage to take that one down. That brings out the Rapidash, which misses the Fire Spin. He Super Potions, he stomps. And the issue here is that we're doing less damage because of the fact that we got that attack drop. So we really don't want to see Growl from Ponyta. And it is kind of a question, is there any move that we can mimic that will actually help us here? And the answer, I think, is yes, agility. Since this Growlithe is only going to use agility over and over against us, we can just use agility, number 1, to get badge boosts, but number 2, in order to outspeed everything from here on out. And that will allow us to get 1 additional hit on all of these Pokemon. Here, Ponyta does give us an Fire Spin, but we do manage to knock it out after that. We get to level 24. We're now faster than the Rapidash, which is going to be a 2-hit KO still. He's using a bunch of Super Potions here. Then we get a Growl, which is kind of bad, but we can knock this Pokemon out. That gets us to level 25 as the Arcanine comes out, and this looks like a 4-hit KO due to the fact that we got that Growl. So not great. We still don't quite get through the Arcanine, but it does look more reasonable reasonable than what we were dealing with before. So I really do want to test this a couple more times. So this time we get to Arcanine still above half health, though we have taken a couple of defense drops here. We get a nice critical hit, but then he crits back with the takedown. That's pretty much what we didn't want to see. Ember or Roar, I think we might have been fine there. So this time, Arcanine gets a Gen 1 miss with Ember, and I actually saved 1 PP and agility to get a badge boost here, but then it knocked me out with the Fire Blast. I guess that's fair given the fact that we almost cheesed with the Gen 1 miss, but still, it really does make me think that this fight is possible. It's just a matter of how many resets it's going to take, but getting the badge boost in special will actually really help this Pokemon, especially with Sabrina. This time he goes Roar and a couple super potions, and we get a crit. So we do finally beat Blaine on this 7th attempt, but considering that we're like over 20 levels lower than his ace, that's actually pretty incredible. We get to level 26 as we finish there. 21 minutes, 22 seconds to complete the Blaine fight. Not exactly consistent by any means, but it is possible to get through that one. And with that, we get access to Fire Blast, which we could technically use at some point if we really want to. But for now, I think we're just going to progress in this one. And I'm going to basically save Sabrina to be the last trainer that we take on, I think. My impression is that she's going to be the hardest. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and take on Erica first. And the question is just, do we need the Ice Beam? I'm going to try without it one time and let's just see. But otherwise, Ice Beam may be the solution here. So Erica, attempt number 1. Let's just see what we actually do with our moves. I'm going to mimic the move Sleep Powder here. Now we get put to sleep. There's not much we can do about that. And then Razor Leaf did pretty decent damage with a crit there. So we're going to need a Sleep Powder miss, I think, or to get Razor Leaf turn 1. The reason I want to mimic Sleep Powder, of course, is so that I have a way to just put these Pokemon to sleep as I slowly whittle them down. So this time she goes Razor Leaf instead. That allows us to put Victory Bell to sleep. Now I'm going to go for Earthquake. It looks like it's just going to be an easy 2-hit KO on that Pokemon. Out next comes Tangela, and Tangela doesn't actually know any grass type moves in Pokemon Red and Blue, so we can just body slam this Pokemon down. Finally, we get the Vileplume. It wants to use Mega Drain or Petal Dance, which is why we're putting it to sleep, and we do about half and use Earthquake again, and that ends it. Erica goes down in just a couple attempts, 23 minutes, 35 seconds to get through that. We're now up to 10 resets. We've learned 3 TMs, and we've added on 1 broken TM, which is Mimic. But we can see Mimic strats are really helping our Nidoking, which is why I was basically just willing to slap that move on. I normally would try to avoid Mimic as much as possible, but in this one, it honestly just makes too much sense. But now with that done, we only have Sabrina or Giovanni left. Now, in this challenge, we're allowed to take on the gym leaders in any order. That includes taking on Giovanni first, because this is based on using essentially walk through walls and glitch city and whatnot in order to just go anywhere on the map that you want. There was a whole Johnstone video on how to actually do it legitimately. So I'm basically just using the same logic here, but I've simplified it by just putting all the gym leaders in one spot. So we're going to try Giovanni first, since technically our ground type moves are super effective against 4 of his Pokemon, and maybe that will give us a chance to actually get through. So Giovanni, attempt number 1. He leads off with the Rhyhorn, of course. And against this Pokemon, I think there's nothing to do but just spam Earthquake. It tail whips, but that's just going to let me knock it out. Oh, it actually is going to take 2 more hits, but that's fine. Body Slam will do the job. Now, Dugtrio is kind of the problem. Dugtrio knows Dig, which will be super effective, and there's not really anything we can do to avoid that move. And there's also not really any way we're going to be faster here unless we take a bunch of tail whips. That could be the strategy, actually. So I'm going to try this again just because maybe badge boosts are what we need. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to use Body Slam here against this Rhyhorn, hoping that it tail whips me a couple more times. Unfortunately, we don't get the luck that time, but if we can just get, I think, 3 tail whips, we should be in a position where we can actually outspeed against that Dugtrio. So this time we've gotten 3 tail whips. Let's see if that is enough. And sure enough, we are now faster than this Dugtrio. I'm going to mimic the move Dig, knowing that it's going to use Dig after that, and I can just dig and knock that Pokemon out. That brings out the Nidoqueen, but Nidoqueen just has Scratch, Tail Whip, Body Slam, and Poison Sting. It's not going to use Poison Sting because of type effectiveness, and here I can just basically go Dig, and it looks like a 2-hit KO to knock that one out. We get to level 30 as the Nidoking comes out. This one, Tackle, Horn Attack, Poison Sting, and Thrash. Yet again, not rocking great moves. So we are going to be able to two-shot this Pokemon. The Horn Attack did massive damage, taking us down to 3 HP, but we do manage to get to the final Rhydon. Now, Rhydon here can only damage us with Stomp. It cannot damage us with Fissure or Horn Drill because of the fact that we are faster. And here it goes for Fissure, and that might be the only move that it uses because we're a Poison type. And sure enough, that appears to be the case. So we actually win very easily the second we get to the Rhydon. So while that looks inconsistent at the beginning, you just need to get some Tail Whips from that first Rhyhorn to get some badge boosts and speed. And then at this level, it's technically possible to beat Giovanni, and as long as you get to the last Pokemon, you're golden. That is crazy. That is actually insane. So 27 minutes, 47 seconds, we have defeated Giovanni. Yes, it took a couple resets there, but that was not that bad. And with that done, there's only one gym leader left, which is Sabrina. Now, Sabrina is potentially the problem because she has the psychic type moves. We don't really have anything to stop her from using psychic type moves against us. So yeah, this one could be kind of rough. Still, we won't know till we try, so I'm going to go in as I am one time and just see if I can manage the victory. So Sabrina attempt number 1. We are currently slower than the Kadabra, which is kind of a problem. It's going to go Psychic, and we nearly get one-hit KO'd there. We do manage to knock that Pokemon out, but I think we're hoping for Psybeam there. That now brings out the Mr. Mime, which can go Confusion, Barrier, or Light Screen. I think this is a spot to mimic Barrier for badge boosts, but I'm not sure if we'll ever actually be able to set them up. So unfortunately, we lose that one. Let's try this again, hoping we get the Psybeam instead. Once again, unfortunately, we get Psychic, so we're just going to be in the situation of getting KO'd. But this time, Mr. Mime goes for Light Screen, so we're just going to knock it out the next turn. The Venomoth comes out next, and this is going to be a 2-hitter. It goes Stun Spore, and then we simply lose. Technically, it wants to use any of its moves other than Poison Powder against us based on the way the game looks at type effectiveness. So we're going to have to reset here for a minute, just trying this one out. If we get really desperate, though, we will go for some rare candies here because I'm pretty sure we'll need them before Lorelei anyway. Now, there is a 25% chance for us to get a miss from Stun Spore, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough, given the fact that we're absolutely going to be outsped by the final Alakazam, and that Pokemon's definitely going to deal massive damage to us when we get there. Still, we do get the miss this time, so we have made it to Alakazam. I think it could go Psywave or Reflect here just as often as it goes Psybeam. Here it goes Psywave turn 1, we do massive damage, and then it goes Reflect. And that actually gives us the victory on Sabrina as we get to level 33. 30 minutes, 58 seconds. Yes, it was a little inconsistent, but as soon as we got a Psybeam and a Stun Spore miss, we were able to win that fight. I think within a couple of levels, we would have been able to outspeed the Kadabra anyway. So if we just dropped like 1 or 2 rare candies here, we could probably outspeed that Pokemon and just one-shot it. And from there, we would just need to avoid that Stun Spore. And then, you know, if Alakazam just wants to go for Psywave and Reflect, we can actually win. It's only 1 in 3 to actually use Psybeam against us. That was ridiculous, though. 15 resets to get through the 8 gym leaders, 3 TMs, 1 broken TM, but this is done. We are now moving on to the Pokemon League. Now, this really shows us a couple of things. Number 1, it just highlights how incredibly overpowered Pokemon are when they are given max DVs and vitamins. Like, the stats of our Pokemon for a level 33 are kind of ridiculous, to be perfectly honest. Like, we are on par with a lot of Pokemon that are 10, 15, even 20 levels higher than us here, which is why we're doing so well. But, you know, this could come to an end pretty quickly. We'll just have to see. For now, I'm getting ready to go into the league, so I'm going to take out any TM that I think I might need. Rock Slide could be a strat, as could Substitute in the right situation. We're going to make sure to have Blizzard because that could be a strat later on. We'll also take out Thunder just in case. Not sure if that's actually going to be used here. I will take out Reflect just in case that ever has any value. And with a bunch of TMs in the bag, we already come into this challenge with a bunch of elixirs and rare candies and full restores. I think it's time to get into the league. Now, the league we have to take on in order. We've got Lorelei out first, and she's by far and away going to be the hardest here. We're going to have to see if we can find a way through her. I think the strategy is to learn Thunderbolt here because it's going to be super effective against a lot of her Pokemon. I'm just going to forget Thrash at this point to learn this move. There's also a reasonable argument for learning something like Rock Slide or even Submission here, but I'm not going to just dive into that. I'm going to start off by trying this moveset. We're probably going to have to drop some rare candies if I have to guess, but let's get into this and just see how it actually looks. First off, she's got the level 54 Dugong, but we can see the stats, right? At level 33, our stats are pretty much on par with this level 54 Pokemon, just because we have Max DVs and a bunch of vitamins that we've taken. So we're actually faster than the Dugong. So that opens up the possibility, at least, of trying to go for Thunderbolt and seeing if we can manage to survive a turn. Here we could even mimic Rest right here. That is an actual strat with this Pokemon. And then let's just see what kind of range we're getting here. It looks like this is a 4-hitter with the Thunderbolt, unfortunately, so we're probably not getting through at this level from the looks of things. Still, I think that if we level up a little bit, we might just have a chance. I'm going to level up just a little bit to level 35, and then I'm going to go based on damage rounding thresholds from here, and let's just see how this goes. So here we can go Thunderbolt again on Dugong, and it just doesn't look like we're quite doing enough damage. A nice critical hit Earthquake did really good damage here though, but that was purely because of the crit. I think we would have to get at least one crit here to have a chance of getting through without taking any more damage. So I think this level is still too low to actually get through this fight. So let's pop up to level 38 next and just see if we can get through at this level. Now this is starting to look like a 3-hit KO with Thunderbolt. So that's giving me a little more hope that we can actually get this one to go. We do take down the Dugong for the first time. Of course, we've got a bit of a problem here with the Cloyster. We did about half, but we're going to either need a critical hit or we're going to need to get to a higher level to be able to get through that Pokemon as well. However, once we get through Cloyster, I actually think we have a strategy that will allow us to win. So I'm just going to level up a little bit more to try to get a better range here. This time the Dugong is fully paralyzed from the first Thunderbolt, and with that we should be able to knock it out, possibly without taking any damage on the first Pokemon. That brings out the Cloyster. It's still a 2-hitter. Clamp hits, and we need to be released from Clamp. We just didn't get the luck for that to happen. That is another way that we could potentially get through this one. So it might be best to even just go for Body Slam for the higher chance of getting paralysis turn 1, and then try to knock out the Dugong from there. This time we crit the Cloyster and it uses a super potion, so we knock it out the next turn. That brings out Slowbro. Now, Slowbro's only damage dealing move is Water Gun, which is only 1 in 3 chance. So I'm going to use this opportunity to mimic the move Amnesia. We get knocked out this time, but if it goes for Withdraw or Amnesia itself, we can start setting up Amnesia to get higher and higher special stat, and then hopefully be able to knock this Pokemon out. This time we get Dugong to rest turn 1, which it will just randomize doing. So yet again, we get through that Pokemon with no damage. We get a Gen 1 miss from Thunderbolt on the Cloyster, unfortunately. Clamp, however, does release us in time for us to get through. This time Slowbro goes Withdraw 2 times, then it goes Amnesia, and Amnesia again. That's actually perfectly fine by me because we've boosted our special stat a ton, and we do manage to knock that Pokemon out. We level up as we get to the Jinx though, and that loses our badge boosts. So we're 5 points in speed slower, and Ice Punch ends us. We need to not level up right there, and then we should have a reasonable chance. So I'm just going to drop a couple more rare candies here, and let's see if that's enough to avoid that level up in the middle of the battle. We once again get through Cloyster on low health, and we set up all the amnesias on the Slowbro. So we will take this Pokemon down eventually. And this time we are faster than the Jinx. So I think we can just go Earthquake and get the one hitter right there. And now Lapras, Thunderbolt. Oh, we get a critical hit. No, anything other than the crit, we would have one-shot. So this is clearly a winnable fight at this level. So we still level up here on Jinx, but we actually came in with more speed than this Pokemon to begin with. So it's just going to be a one-hitter every time. Let's try Thunderbolt again on Lapras, and without the crit, it is a one-hitter. So we managed to beat Lorelei at level 44. We did have to use 10 of our rare candies. We've only got 2 left in the bag. But at this point, our stats are high enough. I think we can get through the rest of the league, starting with Bruno, who I do not expect to actually give us a challenge. This should be an incredibly easy fight, but let's just see if it actually works out. So Bruno attempt number 1, he leads off with the Onix. And I'm actually going to mimic the move Hardened here, yet again because we can use it for the badge boost glitch. Then I'm just going to go Earthquake. This is going to be an easy 2-hit KO, and that will bring out the Hitmonchan, which knows Ice Punch, but I don't think we're really worried about that move. Like, yes, it could freeze us, I guess, but I'm just going to go for all the badge boosts here. And obviously, Mega Punch is not going to hurt us very much when we're using Harden over and over again. After that's done, now we can go for really anything, but I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt since it has lower special. Same on the Hitmonlee. Let's just Thunderbolt that Pokemon down. Earthquake now on the Onix is a one-hitter. And Machamp, let's just go for the Earthquake. It's going to be a 2-hit KO, but he just goes X defend. So Bruno loses on the first attempt. He wasn't even hard. We get to level 46 as we complete that battle. And with that, we are ready to move on to Agatha. And this one is going to be random, but Earthquake should destroy the Gengar, the Haunter, the Arbok, the second Gengar, as long as we can hit. The real question is that Golbat, since that is the only Pokemon that we don't have a move that's like going to be a guaranteed one-hitter. Thunderbolt at least will be super effective though, so let's just see how this goes. So Agatha attempt number 1, we are of course slower than the Gengar, but not that much slower, only 7 points in speed. It misses a Hypnosis turn 1 and Earthquake just ends that Pokemon. Now we go Thunderbolt on the Golbat. It uses Haze, but I think that's perfectly fine. Now on this Haunter, I'm going to mimic the move Hypnosis if I can actually move. Unfortunately, we're confused and hitting ourselves in confusion, and then we get Dream Eatered, and that's probably all she wrote. We do manage to wake up though, so I'm going to wake up and mimic the Hypnosis here. We'll put it to sleep. Now we can just go Earthquake on that one and knock it out. Out comes the Arbok. We are faster than this Pokemon and get the easy one-hitter. And now on the final Gengar, it goes Toxic turn 1 and turn 2. I'm trying to put it to sleep. We finally get it to sleep, though we did get hit by Confuse Ray, and we hit ourselves in confusion and lose. Now, granted, if we knew it was going to go Toxic twice in a row, we could have just gone Earthquake and probably won. So let's try this one again. So here, I'm just going to mimic Hypnosis from the first Gengar even. She swaps with the Golbat, but I'm going to put Golbat to sleep now to prevent it from using Haze on me. That will allow me to knock that Pokemon out. Now we can just go Earthquake on the Gengar. We'll go Earthquake on the Haunter. I really just want the Hypnosis in case I get like paralyzed or something. But I don't know. Maybe we just YOLO here against the final Gengar. It goes Nightshade, but we just one-shot it with an Earthquake. So we beat Agatha on the second attempt. We're ready to move on in the game. So now it's time for Lance. And in theory, Lance should be really hard. He has the Gyarados that has, a super effective move in Hydro Pump that is just going to spam over and over again. But we should be faster than that Gyarados. And we have Thunderbolt, which is 4 times super effective. So the only question here is, do we one-shot the Gyarados or not? If we do, after that, the 2 Dragonairs and the Dragonite will never attack us. And in this version, the Aerodactyl's only using normal type moves. so we may be able to get through there just fine as well. I do think we want to learn Ice Beam here though, just to have a better move for those Pokemon. So I'm going to forget Body Slam in order to learn Ice Beam. Obviously, Ice Beam will also help on the champion when we're up against his Exeggutor. So I think this is the play, but let's just see if this actually works out. So Lance attempt number 1 against the Gyarados. We go Thunderbolt, and it is a 2-hitter. Oh, that's terrible. So because this is a 2-hit KO, we either need a critical hit here, which we can see is about a 16% chance on this Pokemon, or we need a Hydro Pump miss, which is a 20% chance. I just don't think the 2 rare candies are going to raise our stats enough to get through this. The other possibility, though, is to use the move Thunder. It's kind of sad to learn Thunder over Thunderbolt, but this might be the play just because of the extra power. That gives us a 70% chance potentially of getting the 1-hit KO. So I'm going to test this out. Let's just see. So now against Gyarados, Thunder still does not get the 1-hitter, but it does put him in a Hyper Potion range, and we get the miss from Hydro Pump the next turn, and we took it all the way down to 7 HP. It could be a range. There could be a range where we actually do get the 1-hitter there. We level up and get to level 48. Now, the Dragonair is going to be a 2-hit KO with our Ice Beam, but this Pokemon's only going to use the move Agility against us. I think this is actually a good spot to mimic Agility to make sure that we're faster than the Aerodactyl that's coming up. And now we can just Ice Beam this Pokemon down pretty easily. It's frozen solid. We can just Earthquake after that. Now we get to the Aerodactyl. Ice Beam is going to be a 2-hitter, but he Hyper Potions there and then goes for Supersonic. But honestly, I don't think any of its moves short of a critical hit would ever knock us out. And now we've made it to the Dragonite that will only use Agility and Barrier because we are a Poison type Pokemon. So we can just Ice Beam and just knock it out the next turn. So just like that, we managed to get through Lance. Was it pretty? No. Did Thunder actually help us? Maybe not. There might have been a range where it was a 1-hitter, but honestly, if that didn't work, our next best play would have just been to go for Horn Drill, and then we would have at least had a 30% chance of one-shotting there against that Gyarados. So, I mean, there are strategies there. It's just levels of strategies. If you were doing this in like a speed run, you might be using X items there and just kind of YOLOing it. You might actually just get the levels in order to actually one-shot there. But, you know, it is what it is. But with that, we are now coming in with Ultra King to the champion at level 49. We've got 173 HP, 130 attack, 116 defense, 123 speed, 113 special. And our moveset is Ice Beam, Mimic, Earthquake, and Thunder. I still think Mimic has some value in this fight, which is why I'm keeping it. And the question is just, are we able to get through? We have 2 rare candies in the bag. Alakazam is the really scary Pokemon here. That's the one we're going to have to worry about. But let's see if we can get this to go. So it is time for the champion. Ice Beam on the Pidgeot appears to be a 2-hit KO, but it just goes Whirlwind. So we, get the 3-hitter here, but we can manage to get through. Thunder would have made it a 2-hitter. Now we get to the Alakazam, which is faster, and it knows Psybeam, Recover, Psychic, and Reflect. So it's basically a 1 in 3 chance to use Reflect. Otherwise, it will go for either Psybeam or Psychic. Psychic just ends us. And this is another spot where we're not like close to outspeeding here. We really need a Reflect and then a critical hit if we're going to get through this one, I think. Still, I'm going to reset a little bit for luck here and just see if we can get it to go. Here, a couple Thunders will take down the Pidgeot, but I think no matter what we do, Psychic will simply end us. This time we finally get Reflect from the Alakazam. Of course, that means that we're not 1-hit KOing with the Earthquake. It turns out to be a 3-hitter, and he goes for Psybeam twice after that. So what we really want to see is like Psybeam first and Reflect second, which is going to be a little bit luck-based, but it's in theory possible. This time we do get Psybeam turn 1, but he goes Psychic turn 2, so we simply lose. A critical hit Earthquake would also get the 1-hit KO on this Pokemon, provided he uses either Reflect or Psybeam. This time he gets a Gen 1 miss with Psychic, but we were low enough on damage from the first Pidgeot that we got knocked out by the Psybeam after that. That was the closest we've gotten to actually getting through that. Alakazam is just way too tough for this Nidoking. This time he uses Reflect, then Psybeam, then Reflect. So we finally get through the Alakazam. That gives us our first shot at the Rhydon, which is 3 out of 4 to not even damage us. Still, I'm just going to go for Ice Beam here. It's going to take a couple hits, but we can knock this Pokemon out. Arcanine is out next. We can go Earthquake, which is super effective, but it is not a one-hitter. This is a 2-hit KO, and it takes us down. We wanted Roar or Leer there, which would have allowed us to progress in this run. Now, this time, Alakazam just goes Reflect 3 times in a row, which is possible. The AI isn't smart enough to know that Reflect is already up in Gen 1, so we actually get through to the Arcanine still on really good health. So we can go for our Earthquake yet again. We know it's not a one-hitter, but Ember doesn't do enough, so we knock that Pokemon out. That brings out the Exeggutor, which has a terrible moveset in Pokemon Red and Blue. It's just Barrage, Hypnosis, and Stomp. So I'm going to Mimic Hypnosis, hoping it misses. Now, I want to hit my Hypnosis. Unfortunately, we're trading Hypnosises back and forth, and I was missing, and it finally hit. But now we wake up, and we do put this Pokemon to sleep. I will Ice Beam. We know this is going to take multiple hits because Exeggutor is a tank. We put it back to sleep, though. So we're going to be able to knock this Pokemon out in just a couple more hits, but he does use the full restore here. It does go back to sleep, though. That's going to guarantee that we can get the KO there. So now it all comes down to the Blastoise. We're faster. We land the Hypnosis. We're going to go Thunder. It does about half. We try Thunder again and miss, but then we hit the third Thunder. And just like that, at level 51, we were able to beat the champion on Ultra Minimum Battles. Nidoking was able to do that in 1 hour and 19 seconds. Its final score isn't that great, but that just comes down to the fact that we were using some broken TMs, and we had to make some moveset changes as we went through that one. Now, it is worth noting that the overlay miscounted a little bit there, it seems, because we had only one broken TM. That was our Mimic. And as far as normal TMs that we learned, we had Ice Beam, we had Thunder, Thunderbolt, Earthquake, Body Slam. So I think it overcounted on the normal TMs too. Our actual final score should have been about 80 on this one. I'll go back and double check the footage, but it's definitely a situation where the final scoring on this was not correct. Nidoking actually performed quite admirably, considering that it's coming in with 2 typings that are actually really bad in general in a full game solo run, and yet it does manage to make its way through without items in battle. Keep in mind, speedrunners, when they're, setting world records with this Pokemon, or of course with Squirtle, but that's another story, they are spamming lots and lots of items. We're talking X items in battle, healing items in battle, whatever they need in order to get through the battles effectively. And the main strat is X accuracy into 1-hit KO moves, at which point, yeah, you're just going to sweep through everything. If we wanted to go for that and we had some X speeds in the bag, we would just X speed until we were faster than the Alakazam on that first Pidgeot, slap down some X accuracy, and just horn drill everything to death, So obviously it's possible to beat the game super fast with a Nidoking, but here we've done it without those sorts of strategies, which I think is pretty darn impressive given that we only took 13 battles to beat the game. So as the rival says, why? Why did I lose? Well, clearly it's because you did not have a Nidoking, though he did have Nidoking in the anime, so kind of a disappointment he didn't bring to the league. And with that, he says he never made any mistakes, but Grandpa is going to come and tell him he needs to study a little bit more about Gen 1 speedrunning meta, and then he would know he clearly made a massive mistake. So with that, we will register Ultra King into the Hall of Fame. We even finished with 2 rare candies left in the bag, but hey, no shame in that. But with that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Tell me what other Pokemon you would like to see. I think Nidoqueen needs her chance to show out what she can do, keeping in mind she has a little bit less attack, a little more defensive on that Pokemon, but starts the game with Body Slam on its moveset and can generally do just about about anything that Nidoking can do. So that one could be very, very interesting. I think Jinx is also going to be upcoming in this format, and we'll probably get a few others, but leave the comments, let me know. And of course, if you'd like to support me in my goal of becoming a full-time PokeTuber, consider watching another video that I'll link here at the end. And if you really enjoy the content, consider joining the channel membership. We're doing some live streams for those guys exclusively, and it's a very fun time. Anyway, that's it for this one. I appreciate you guys. I will see you in the next one. Later.